franktalks.com.
Check out the Frank Talks Relationships column currently running in the Suburban Newspaper online magazine. To read more, please visit thesuburban.com.
I'm not here to teach you what to think. I'm here to teach you how to think. One of my mentors had 8 girls in his harem. However, 3 of them were girls out of town. So whenever he went to visit another city, he would make it a point that on that trip he would spend it with one of the girls in that city. And he would say, yes, I have 8 lovers, but since 3 were out of town, there was only 5 in town. How do you manage all that? I do have a 2-CD set called Multiple Women Management, The Secret Rules of the Harem Master. You might want to all look into that. What I can tell you is to get yourself an agenda and write everything down. And in addition to managing your time, if you do something with one girl, make sure you do the same thing with the other girls you're seeing. So if you take one girl on a 3-day trip somewhere, make sure to take the other 2 girls on a 3-day trip, provided that they all have earned a certain position in your hierarchy. And despite what anybody tells you about open relationships, where no, everybody's equal in this. No, everybody's not equal. There's always a hierarchy. You're dating more than one person, there's a hierarchy. You're one of many people that your girl is dating, there's a hierarchy. And to assume that everybody's equal just doesn't happen. Great intellectual construct. It's not reality. Did that answer your question?
Yes, and I just kind of have a follow-up question on that. So do you tell one of the girl that what you're doing with all these other girls?
This is a really tough question to navigate because you can't be too forthcoming about what you're doing with the other girls because you have to protect everybody's reputation. At the same time, you don't want to be unethical and you don't want to be lying about it. So here are some of the rules I follow. When I'm initially dating a girl, I never do anything within my behavior patterns to indicate a monogamous relationship. I don't do anything in my behavior patterns when I'm initially dating a girl to indicate that I'm going to make a commitment to her. Now, when I'm first seeing a girl, whether or not I'm seeing other people is really none of her business. The same way that whoever she happens to be dating is not my business. I'm still trying to figure out if I even want her in my life. Not because I'm a seducer and I know how to address her emotional needs. It's very likely that I'm going to end up having sex with her sooner than later. So by the 3rd date, we should have already had sex if we didn't have sex that first night. Do I have to tell her just before we have sex, oh, by the way, before we have sex, you should know I see other people? No, because it's not her business if I'm seeing other people, and it's not my business if she's seeing other people. It only becomes each other's business when 1, the topic comes up in conversation, oh, by the way, are you seeing anybody? And number 2, if you feel that either one of you is being misled about the nature of your relationship. So let's say she never brings it up and she never asks about it. However, you can tell through her behavior patterns that she is starting to assume that your relationship is more than what you interpret it to be. That's when you have to step in and say, listen, I think you're seeing this relationship for more than what it is right now. My commitment must be earned. You haven't done anything near what is required to earn my commitment. And she'll always ask, well, what has to happen to earn your commitment? And that's when you start explaining to her the emotional needs of men as you interpret them. Letting her know, to get my commitment, I need to know that you're going to do this, this, and support that. Once I can be guaranteed that you're legitimate about all that, that's when I can offer a commitment. Did that answer your question?
Yes. And I'm currently in a situation right now where I told a girl about 3 months before that I wouldn't be in a committed relationship until after 3 months later when I get to know her better. And after that 3 months, where it's currently now, I don't feel she really qualified for that. So, but I would still like her to be part of my open relationship with. How should I articulate this to her?
Okay, now is she under the impression that you are in a committed relationship right now?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you need to correct. So one of the first things that I would suggest is you can ask her, are there any other guys that you're dating these days? Do you have a male friend you want to introduce her to? By all means, bring that up. And it may seem really harsh, but the fact is that it's more harsh to let her believe that you are in a committed relationship when you're not. And what you said there, okay, we have to be dating 3 months before we make a commitment. That is not a qualifier. That's just pushing off the inevitable. And what she's hearing is, oh, okay, so we'll date for 3 months and then we'll be committed. If you're going to push it off for 3 months, may I suggest that you say something like this? We need to be dating 3 months before we even look at the possibility of commitment. So at the end of the 3 months, now you can say, okay, now we can have a talk and now we can look at what's going to have to happen here in order for a commitment to take place, if ever. But simply saying, I don't make a commitment until I've been dating for 3 months. Okay, you've been dating three months. Now you're not going to make a commitment? That makes you a liar. That's very different than saying to her, look, before I even talk commitment, we have to be dating and having sex for 3 months. Once that happens, then we can talk about the possibility of having a commitment. And that's when we will talk about what needs to happen in order for the commitment to happen. Do you see the difference? Like, it's a subtle difference, but do you see it? Okay. Next question.
This is related to the previous one. What if your needs change during the time you're in a monogamous relationship and you want to change that to an open relationship? Is that possible? And if so, how do you do that?
Remember to sign up for the Alternative Relationship Choices ARC newsletter and get weekly tips to guide you through polyamory, swinging, and the basics of non-monogamy. We can help you find your ARC, your alternative relationship choice. Sign up at franktalks.com now.
franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, Frank Talks, franktalks.com, franktalks.com.